This week, the Trump administration announced that it still intends to put a citizenship question on the 2020 census, despite an unfavorable ruling in the Supreme Court the previous week, which temporarily blocked the plan. But whatever the arguments about the census question, there was an aspect of the ruling, and especially the majority opinion from the Chief Justice, that will have long-lasting and disastrous consequences for the country, way beyond the census. And so tonight, it's the people versus Chief Justice John Roberts. The argument used by the Chief Justice to block the citizenship question was that the rationale for the change given by Commerce Secretary Wilbur Ross, that he was responding to a request from the Justice Department, wasn't the real reason. Documents showed that he was planning to put the citizenship question on the census before the Justice Department request came in. But so what? Under the Constitution, it's an executive branch decision. There has long been a legal precedent in this country that the courts can't object to executive branch actions just because there are other reasons for the decision than those stated. John Roberts has just overturned that precedent, and this will have massive and deeply damaging implications for the way things work, or rather don't work, in America. In the dissent of the case, written by Justice Clarence Thomas and joined by Justices Gorsuch and Kavanaugh, he wrote, "The court has opened a Pandora's box of pretext-based challenges in administrative law." All right, so what does all this mean in plain English, and what does it mean for you? How many times have you been frustrated that something this administration wants to do has been overruled, overturned, struck down, slowed down, or watered down by the courts? You voted to build the wall, but the courts said no. You voted to defund sanctuary cities, but the courts said no. On DACA, on asylum, on healthcare, on rolling back some regulations, even on blocking immigration from failed states with high levels of terrorism, the courts said no to policies that you voted for. All in all, unelected judges have ruled against the Trump administration more than 70 times in the last 3 years, way more than the rate for previous administrations. This is what happens when you vote for a populist revolution. The establishment tries to overturn it through undemocratic means. And now, this ruling from Chief Justice Roberts will make it all 10 times worse. From now on, any partisan pressure group will be able to take legal action against the administration on all sorts of spurious grounds, helping, as Justice Thomas says, quote, partisans to use the courts to harangue executive officers through depositions, discovery, delay, and distraction. Great. That's just what we need. An even more politicized judiciary. Even more roadblocks in the way of actually getting things done that help your life. The worst of it all is John Roberts' own rationale for this, his own motive. For him, it is all about the image of the court. Now that he's the swing vote, he doesn't want to make his court look partisan. So the other week, he balanced his ruling on gerrymandering with this damaging one on judicial review of executive decisions. But he's supposed to be the Chief Justice, not the Chief PR. He's supposed to interpret the Constitution, not what the media will say about his court. This ruling will hurt America for years to come. It should haunt Chief Justice Roberts for the rest of his time on the bench. But above all, it shows the importance of taking his power away by re-electing Donald Trump so he can put Roberts in the minority where he belongs. Okay, tell me what you think of that at Steve Hilton X and at NextRevFNC. Jason Chaffetz.
No, well said. I think this is one of the worst decisions and put on a list of bad decisions from Justice Roberts. I think Clarence Thomas had it right. You don't want these judges making subjective rulings from the bench based on whatever political whims that they want. Inherently, the legislative branch is political, and it will change from time to time. But that's okay. You shouldn't have to state the reason and try to get into the mind and try to be the mind reader of what they were really looking for, especially in this case of the census where they have precedent in order to do it. So I know we're going to talk more about that, but really, this is a bad decision. They can't let the courts just try to be mind readers and then subject their own will upon the court. That's not what they're supposed to do.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, Katrina, some people have made the comparison with his decision on Obamacare back in 2012, wasn't it, where he basically voted to let most of it stand on and the real reason people speculated was that he didn't want to look as if he was killing off something that was just, a political priority for the then president. But now, for the same kind of reason, to sort of, it's all about image, he's done something that actually, it wasn't just a one-off thing like Obamacare. This will hurt so many different areas of policy and stop. People are so frustrated. Government, nothing ever happens. It's all just, just talk and nothing gets done. This is why.
Well, it is why, and it seems like Chief Justice Roberts wants his legacy to be generational destruction. It was far worse back with Obamacare because it was unconstitutional, and at that point in time, you had Justice Roberts literally bend over backwards trying to reform the individual mandate into a tax.
Yeah.
Therefore, it would be good to go. Something that our Congress, the people who actually represent the people, didn't even vote on. There was no tax that was voted on with Obamacare, but, this is fine. Let's just push this right on through. And that has been destructive for generations, as we've seen. And now here we are with something that, to Jason's point, it's not unprecedented. This is a question that was on the census before in history, so it's not brand new. It's not like the president seizing power of anything. And the intent by someone who recommended it now all of a sudden is directing the Supreme Court of the United States.
That's what drives me crazy. Insanity. I mean, I've worked inside of a government. You've obviously been in. There's so many factors and conversations and meetings and discussions and memos. All of that now can be got hold of by any kind of legal challenge on any kind of political decision. It's a total nightmare.
And there are those of us that are worried that when it goes to the courts, they can make that sort of subjective analysis and say, well, this one's right and this one's not right. That's not what they're supposed to do. The court is supposed to rule whether or not they can add a question or not. It should be that simple, but they've opened up this box because I think you're exactly right, Steve. It's not just this case. It is going to live on in perpetuity, and it will create all kinds of problems. It will empower the court more to make subjective decisions.
And all the way down. This is not just any, at the state level, it just opens up this possibility that you try and get anything done. I mean, we already know how bad it is. It's just going to get worse, and people are going to get more disillusioned with politics and government because it's going to get even more impossible to do anything.
Well, we've always said that it's President Trump against the world. And every day we see that to be true more and more over time. But hopefully the president will be able to move forward on this, either through executive action or some other manner, to, again, force this through the court system. It is common sense. A country has a right to know who's in it. This is not some weird twisted thing that they're trying to make it out to be. And it's a power grab. This is what it is. The Democrats want as many people in this country as possible because the numbers, aside from whether or not they're citizens, gives them the electoral advantage when it comes to distribution of congressmen, and they want more of that. It is all about a power grab. That's what it's always been. They don't care about people. They don't care about race. They don't care about gender. They just want the people on their side.
Well, there you are. So that is, I mean, we as you mentioned, we're going to be talking more about that aspect of it. That was the sort of central ruling. I wanted to make sure everyone understood the wider implications of the ruling, but specifically on the census question, we're going to be talking about that on tomorrow's Deep Dive on Fox Nation. Go to foxnation.com and sign up if you haven't done that already.